Early Alzheimer's detection up to 17 years in advance. A sensor identifies misfolded protein biomarkers in the blood. This offers a chance to detect Alzheimer's disease before any symptoms occur. Researchers intend to bring it to market maturity. Removed, removed, removed. And then what? We knew far, far in advance me mother was descending into Alzheimer's. There's absolutely nothing you can do. She refused to believe anything was wrong. You can get your affairs in order. Designate a legal guardian. Write a will before anyone can doubt it because of your mental state. Register to not be revived. Register to not revive. And maybe, if your region allows it, use a service for assisted suicide while you are still able to decide for yourself. Not everything about healthcare is about healing people. Sometimes it's about making the remaining time count or to give a patient the option to die with dignity. If seen me grandpa perish to this awful disease. It's terrible. It robs you of your personality, of your humanity and your dignity. At the end, your body is simply fighting a long-lost battle against decay, while the mind is all but gone. Only pain and suffering remains, the lowest level of human perception. Though suffering, though of human if I knew we'd suffer that fate, it makes sure to arrange for assisted suicide. Catching it before you get symptoms is the best time to start treatment. Enroll in a clinical trial or start making major lifestyle changes to reduce the risk of converting to symptomatic ad. Removed, 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 removed. Question: I don't know too much on Alzheimer's. From reading this is caused by a misfolded protein. Is it a prion disease? Another commenter said no because it doesn't cause other proteins to misfold. Yes and no. Alzheimer's has evidence for cause due to protein misfolding and aggregating in the brain, but it is not due to prion proteins. In prion diseases, prion proteins are introduced via infection mad cow disease, or can be inherited. Their prion proteins act as templates for misfolding of normal proteins. So it's like erupting a normal process. For Alzheimer's, the body's own proteins begin to break down, and a product of this would be beta-amyloid proteins that accumulate and clump in the brain, causing dysfunction. As we've learned recently, there's still no effective treatment to stop or slow disease progression. What's the advantage of telling a patient they are going to develop dementia symptoms in 10, 20 years? That would only give them hopeless dread. Removed. Having witnessed multiple people go through it, I would 100,000 prefer to know him going to get it and make a very solid plan for my exit strategy when the time comes. 200 my Phil literally had made a plan for if he ever got it, with detailed instructions for what to do. And because of the state he lives in, none of them could be carried out. Now he sits in a tiny room all day staring at a wall, and doesn't remember he has kids or what his name is, while spending nearly 100 a year to do so. Literally everything he has ever worked for has gone straight into his care that he never wanted to begin with, and he will leave literally nothing to his family when he passes. 200 year. I would absolutely much rather know. Maybe being able to study it in its very early stages will give scientists some clues about how to treat it. A person would be able to rearrange their priorities, i.e., maybe not work their lives away, assuming they would have a lot of time in retirement. The only reason I'd want to know is the fact that Alzheimer's and dementia spectrum disorders run heavily on both sides of my family. Both of me grandmothers had Alzheimer's, as did me father. Going back to me great-grandparents in the 70s and before, It was just dementia, which is also the farthest they diagnosed my maternal grandfather. Paternal grandfather died of cancer shortly after I was born, but ague as he was a heavy smoker, and my mother was just one of the lucky three who never smoked or lived or worked around smokers and died from lung cancer. The way I see it, it's not really, will I have it, it's when symptoms will start to manifest. My father was in his mid-50s when he was diagnosed with early onset, and turning 52 this year. I'd like to know if I'm even going to make it to retirement or if I can kiss that dream goodbye. Proper planning. Are you saving enough to afford the care you need? Are you planning on having kids? Should you move somewhere that euthanasia is legal? Cash out my retirement funds, ball out for approximately 18 years traveling and enjoying every minute I have. Tell everyone in my life that I love them very much. Dip off this mortal coil in a way of my own choosing. I've seen too many family members go through it. It's not for me. Research like this precedes our ability to cure. It is a building block. Well, I'm sure your insurance company would love to know. What's the advantage of telling a patient they were going to develop dementia symptoms in 10, 20 years? That would only we know that good sleep, good diet, and exercise are correlated with much lower dementia risks. We know for certain that they will improve health, quality of life, mental health, and seem like a good bet against dementia. Edit. They would look at these kind of studies and think maybe it would help. Or Reddit. Come or war science or comments or obtuosja or chores exercise and social visits linked to lower or. There might not be a treatment to stop or slow once it's begun, but we do have some research on risk factors that could be moderated. We know that the standard American diet leads to clogged arteries in the heart and also clogged arteries leading to the brain. We know that lack of blood flow to the brain is a potential factor in Alzheimer's. We also know that whole plant foods are associated in reduction of Alzheimer's cases, whereas animal products, sweets, and processed foods have a strong positive correlation. Or Inkai. Nai. Govor pubd or 27,454,859 eps. Or Inkbai. Nan. Govor pubdor 24,192,577 ps. Or Inkbai. Nim. Govor pubd or 24,489,130 ps. Or Inkbai. Nay. Govor pubd or 24,656,052 ops. Or Inkbai. Nay. Govor pubd or 27,125,544. There are effective drugs to slow progression. Knowing early can help you push back the onset of symptoms. Aren't recent studies pointing to carbohydrate restriction as possible prevention? If this continues to hold true, then 10, 20 years warning is massive. Removed. Physician. Assisted suicide would be a much welcome alternative to progressing through Alzheimer's or dementia. Watching the X disappear to Alzheimer's right now, I welcome this. Roar out of context. How do I sign up to be a research participant? Or take the test? Literally every man above 50 on my dad's side of the family has a form of early onset dementia. Despite having much healthier lifestyle habits than me immigrant family, I still feel as though it's a matter of when, not if, for me to get it. Scares the heck out of me. Removed. I have anxiety and existential dread now, and there's nothing wrong with me. that I know of at least. I'm seeing a lot of misinformed comments here. For a poorly understood disease like Alzheimer's, early detection is critical if we are going to learn how to treat it. Alzheimer's occurs because of the death of neurons in the brain. But the brain is super clever. It hides the disease from us for a long time by rewiring itself. By the time people are showing symptoms, there is already heaps of dead cells. It's too late in some sense. Detecting the disease early will let us find and track this degradation and hopefully come up with treatments that work. I've studied this stuff a little bit grad school, ama. Word of caution. Insurance companies have 100 legal access to any genetic testing you do to use against you. They can't deny you health insurance anymore, but they can sure make it hurts a lot. If it comes back with some other condition that shortens life expectancy, good luck getting life insurance. So you get to find out you are screwed and lose coverage. Until regulations change around insurance, any real progress that could be made in the medical field using genetics will be severely hindered. I really wish this was the situation, but good old financial planning without testing is your best option against something like this. Hopefully that changes in our lifetime and people finally come before profits. Edit. Looks like there was a 2008 bill that semi-protects health insurance but not life, long-term care, disability insurance. Some states have protected those too. So that's some good news. With how easy politicians are to buy and or politics being all over the place, me stance is still no testing for me or my family. This really sucks because me son has autism and it would be helpful for studies. I'm just not going to risk me family's financial well-being for it. Remember, Roe was thought to be untouchable last year. Really think of the benefits before doing this as a fun thing. Is this Agnes thing? Because it is 100 illegal for insurance companies to even ask about any genetic testing you might have done in me country. Early detection so American insurance companies can drop you or jack up your rates. No thanks, I'm good. What a horrible, counterproductive system the US currently has. Not health insurance companies post-ACA. They are not allowed to price monthly premiums based on health or health histories. Or healthcare, gov or how. Plans. Set. Your premiums or in use a early detection of risk, not the disease is not advisable without universal health care. Also, did I miss it? Or did they not mention the false pause rate among those who had developed Alzheimer's? Been waiting for this study for a while. The Alzheimer's Association International Conference is this weekend, leaving today, so expect a whole bunch interesting Alzheimer's news soon. Of course, a great scientific achievement, but very early detection without a good causal therapy kind of sucks. And we do not have a good working drug that treats the cause of Alzheimer's yet. It does suck at all. Not only does it allow people to sort out their plan while they are still perfectly fine, it also helps with finding effective treatment. With a reliable way to detect it early, you can start to perform robust studies on the effect of early treatments, such as lifestyle changes. My fear is that detecting potential Alzheimer's early with no clear path of cure or effective treatment will only benefit insurance companies, kicking you off plans or raising rates to insane levels just in time for them to never pay a dime. The issue I have with this is that there is a lot of other evidence that people who are aging normally can have amyloid and tau present in their brains too. Doctor: yes, you will have Alzheimer's. It's just a matter of time. Patient: that's great you detected it. Because it's so early, can you do something about it? Doctor: nope. This would be much more useful if we actually had some way of preventing disease progression. As it is, This is just going to make people depressed and anxious. We know that lifestyle can dramatically change the likelihood of the disease. My question is, when is it too late? I've seen a study on cognitively impaired patients who had a slower decline if they were very physically active. Since the majority of Alzheimer's patients carry an APOE4 allele, it's plausible that lifestyle interventions that work for APOE4s are effective enough to change the outcome. I'd rather know ahead of time. Alzheimer's is something you'd want to be surprised with personally. I'd use that information to set up an exit strategy for when the time comes. I'm terrified of ending up like me grandfather. I'd much prefer a long walk and a bullet. Hopefully this pans out, and the misfolded proteins, as just generic markers for other things going on in the body related to aging sorry, just still a bit cynical after the last major news about Alzheimer's research, which was downright depressing and awful. This would be a happy counter note. Until there's a cure or known preventive measures to follow. Market maturity for detection won't help them much because there won't be a market. Very few will want to know. Wait, are you telling me Alzheimer's is a prion disease? Misfolded proteins is a symptom, but I do not believe there is evidence that these misfolded proteins cause other proteins to misfold, which is what a prion disease is. We don't know the cause. It has a slow progression. It could still be prions. Removed. Problem is, most really aren't miraculous or life-changing. The news regurgitates marketing speak. Marketers have a goal of driving interest in whatever they are selling. Have a goal of driving interest, sell, however so as long as the claims don't go too far over the line, they will go right to the line. Think about Theranos. Was that supposed to be the breakthrough of the century? Many important folks were fooled, but experts in the field immediately saw through the scam. Without a treatment that leads to a cure, thus it's smart to tell people they gave 20 years before life gets really bad. Better to know more soon can make lifestyle changes to improve quality and slow progression and plan for the financial disaster that awaits us all. Yes, it is.